Hey everyone, welcome today to Become a Nightmare to Compete with in your local market. I'm here with a very special guest today. I'll let him introduce himself in just a moment, but we are going to be meeting with Daniel Dixon of SendJim, and today we are in collaboration with Workiz. I'm Melissa Merrill, our Partner Development Manager here at Workiz, and I'm super excited to go over this topic with you guys today. I think it's going to drop some major knowledge bombs, so get ready. Pay attention and stay tuned till the end because we're going to have a very special offer for you as well. So what are we going to be chatting about today? Today, we're going to have a quick intro to Daniel, talk about proactive versus reactive sales, the 3 foundational tactics in neighbor marketing, why consistency is key, and then again, stay tuned for that very special offer. So without further ado, meet Daniel.
Hey, thanks, Melissa. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Super excited to meet with you. And I know you are so knowledgeable in this industry. So we're really excited to learn all about SendJim today.
Yeah, thank you. So a little bit about my background. I've kind of been all over the place and found my way here. I started as an engineer in the Air Force, worked in the space program, learned a lot about leadership, got my MBA, and was super passionate about small business and grew up with a kind of entrepreneurial family. My parents had a small business. And so I started a carpet cleaning business with some of my family members while I was working as a business consultant in corporate America, and then kind of started consulting for this small software company on the side, which was SendJim. Took the seat here at SendJim, and then have since even started another small home service business doing garage floor coatings. So I've been all over the place, had a ton of different experiences, but the important thing is I've sat in your seat before as a small business owner. I still sit in it today. I understand how challenging it can be to run a small business effectively. And that's why it's super important to have effective tools that help you work more efficiently, like Workiz and then SendJim, which I'll talk to you a little bit about today.
Definitely. Yeah. Wow. You really have done it all, Daniel. So super cool to have that breadth of experience and, so much knowledge that you're coming with us today. So thank you again for being here.
Of course, I've done it all, but I don't know if I could say I've done it all well. So
we're all learning, right? We're all a work in progress.
That's
Cool.
right.
So tell us about systems.
Yeah. So one of the things that is required to grow your business are systems. You probably have systems in your business. You may not call them systems or know that you have them, but it's things like, how do you pick up the phone, right? What do you say? What's the process that you follow? How do you provide a quote? How do you give an estimate? There's these processes that you put in place and you train people how to do their job. And once you have a way of doing things and it's documented and people know this is how we do things at the company, that's called a system. Well, there's also systems for sales. And what's really popular for small businesses are reactive systems. And a reactive system is a sales system where you cannot control the lead flow. Most small businesses use reactive sales systems as their number one means of sales. And that's not a bad thing. Everyone kind of starts there. And a reactive system could be something like Google AdWords, right? Or referrals, or things that Yelp, that's another one. So, or repeat business, right? Like, we don't know when these people are going to call us and we can't really control that. All we can do is control our ad spend. But the reality of it is there's only so many clicks to go around, and you're just really sitting by the phone, kind of hoping that the phone rings. And that's great to get started, but people that grow their businesses really large, they figure out proactive sales systems, meaning they're in control of a repeatable process that they can control how much deal flow there is. An example of this would be sending postcards or doing door hangers or flyers. And if you've done a lot of these and you've been successful with them, for every 1,000 flyers I put out, I'm going to get 10 leads and I'm going to get 4 jobs. Right? And these numbers. So you say, hey, in August, I want to grow 10%. Well, I need to put out 50,000 flyers. And guess what? You grow 10% because you know your numbers, and it's a proactive system. And so now you're in control of how much you grow. And it gets a lot more easy to manage and to hit the numbers that you want to hit as opposed to the reactive sales system. So if you can figure out a proactive system, it's like a lever. You just keep pulling that thing and you're just going to make money. So look for proactive systems in your business.
Yeah, I really liked, before we jumped on today, you had shared some other info with me about like, the faucet and, are you turning the faucet on or are you like making somebody, turn the faucet on and off and have somebody else in control of it. So I really liked that analogy. And, when you think of like deal flow, you think of it as like, water moving through the faucet. A lot of our audience today are plumbers. So, you guys totally understand the idea of flow. It has to be flowing on through, nothing stopping it. So really liked that analogy.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So we're going to get into some foundational tactics of how to really set up those proactive systems. We're going to talk a little bit about hyper targeting, personalization, and then the idea of multi-touch when it comes to neighbor marketing. So Daniel's going to walk us through those.
Yeah, so hyper targeting is really understanding who you want to do business with and also who wants to do business with you, and then marketing to that, to that match, if you will. A lot of people think, well, I do target my demographic. I want to work for like these $5 million homes that are in my city, and that's who they send their marketing to. But what most people don't realize is that it only works if there's a match. And so if that demographic doesn't want to hire you, then you aren't targeting or hyper targeting the right people. And so oftentimes when I ask businesses, they're like, oh yeah, we serve like an upper income person. But the reality it is, you look at their business and their website and their uniform, and maybe they don't have a uniform or they don't have a good website. You listen to how they answer the phone. You look at their pricing. Like these things are all like clues for this like upper income type of buyer. And that buyer is noticing that things are off from what they typically buy, right? Like someone that buys a really high-end service isn't going to go with the cheapest or the middle of the road pricing. They're not going to go with someone that has a confusing website or a website that looks like it was built 10 years ago. And so it's really important that you match that. So once you understand who buys your services, and the best way to do this is look at your customer list, look at where the people in the city are that are buying, what neighborhoods are they living in, what's the average home value, what services, other services do they need, what style of home do they need, their age, the kids, all of this stuff plays into whether or not there's a good chance that they would be buyers for your service. So it's really, really important that you get this right. And because we talk about using your customer list as a way to kind of target or understand your demographic, your ideal demographic, there's no better way to do that than to target new clients based on where your old clients or your existing customers live. Okay, and so what I mean by this is, if you clean this house in this picture, or you change the locks at this house, or you did plumbing work at this house, and they hired you, there's a really good chance that the neighbors around them have a very similar demographic, right? They have the same type of house, the same age of house, so the plumbing might be the same age. There's likely that a lot of houses in this neighborhood have kids, if this one had kids, that type of thing. And so we want to get smart about how we spend our marketing dollars. We don't want to, blast marketing to the entire city, which includes demographic, that might be a lower income, higher income, et cetera, that's not in your demographic. So what you want to do is market to the neighbors of your customers. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. You can do door hangers, you can do yard signs, right? These are ways that the neighbors of your customers can see, hey, this company just worked for my neighbor. They hired them, they probably did their research. So if they hired them and had a good experience, there's probably a good chance that I could hire them too. I hire people like this, right? If I see a company at my neighbor's house and I need the service, I'll walk out there and ask them, or I'll, take a picture and call them later. So the challenge with this is that it's difficult to be consistent when you grow. So you have employees, they're in a rush, they're trying to get from one thing to the next. My employees do this too. They don't put out the yard signs, they don't do the door hangers. Oh, the boss won't know, like, we're trying to get out of here, it's Friday. And so like our system in combination with Workiz can do an amazing thing. It's called neighbor mailing. And what we can do is we can take the data from Workiz, and when you close an invoice in Workiz, we can automatically mail to the neighbors of your customers. So you could tell our system, hey, when I close an invoice in Workiz, I want to mail the 5 closest neighbors, and I want to mail them these 3 postcards or 10 postcards, whatever it is, about my service. And that postcard can say, hey, we just worked for your neighbor, they loved us, you know, you'd love to work for us too, here's an offer. And so we get more, when you get smarter about who you're marketing to, you start increasing your ROI of your marketing.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's like, don't fix what's not broken, right? Like if you know, this house here in the photo, it looks like a super nice house, looks like it's in a great neighborhood, it's pretty big, maybe it's about, you know, 2,500, 3,000 square feet. Like, those are the clients that we want to work with, right? I ran my residential decluttering business, AKA professional home organization, here in San Diego for about 10 years. And I would love to have, you know, 50 of these homes become my clients, right? Because I know that they're going to be the ones that aren't nickel and diming me, complaining about price, or not showing up for the appointment. They're canceling last minute, rescheduling. You don't want those headache clients as a service business owner. And like Daniel said, you know, if you're getting that higher clientele, that upper echelon sort of like, you know, you look at the socioeconomic status, you look at which neighborhoods you want to support. Is it gated communities? Is it maybe they have a clubhouse, you know, things like that. When I was a one-person show, I would take those business cards that I had, you know, just my little personal biz cards, and throw them up at the local YMCAs or the local Boys and Girls Clubs, the library, the, you know, wherever I could find a bulletin board, basically Starbucks, wherever it was. But I was just one little peon person, you know, and then eventually I hired 4 people on my team. And like you said, you know, you could say, hey, if you notice around there's, you know, people walking their dogs while you're loading up the car with all the donations, or you see a bank of mailboxes. That was always my favorite. I'd go in there and tape a bunch of business cards to all the mailboxes. They don't care. They're like, you're paying me hourly. You know, they're not going to actually follow through on any of that. And so I love the idea of SendJim accompanying Workiz, where once you close that invoice, it's automatically done for you. It automatically generates that, I think you call it like a radius bomb, right?
Correct.
Super cool.
Super
cool.
And the other thing, if you go back to like thinking about our proactive versus reactive systems, you start thinking about it like one of the biggest heartburns for me with like Google or a home advisor or something like that is you start getting leads that aren't super relevant. Like they're not in your demographic, right? Someone calls you because they saw your Google ad and they just clicked on it and cost you like $30 or whatever it is. But then not only that, but then they call you and they're like, I live in an area that's like an hour from your service area, right? Or they're price shopping, and you're just like, this is not my target demographic. So whenever you have reactive sales, they're more likely to not be your ideal customer. Whereas when you're controlling the proactive marketing and you're saying, I'm only putting out flyers in neighborhoods I want to work in, or I'm only mailing the neighbors of my customers, I know any lead that I get is going to be a much higher quality lead for my business.
Yeah, like a higher conversion rate for sure. Yeah, super cool. So I know you got a little bit into, you know, how, like what types of products you all can send out to these homes and things like that. But yeah, definitely tell us more about that.
Yeah, so neighbor marketing is super powerful because it can increase your route density, which just means how many customers you have in a smaller area, so you're not driving all over the place. It provides social proof. Social proof is huge nowadays, and I think Melissa has a slide that touches on this a little bit later, but I just saw the statistic, and I'm going to forget who published it, but 80% or closer to 90% of consumers look at reviews before purchasing from a local business. Okay, this isn't like Amazon reviews, like that's super high. Probably almost 100% of people look at an Amazon review before purchasing. But when they're just talking about like your plumber, your locksmith, right? And so part of the social proof that you can provide to them doesn't have to be reviews. It's very, very powerful to see that your brand or your truck in their neighborhood, right? You're not an unknown entity at that point. It's like, no, my neighbors use these people. They did the research, they trust them. And so that's really, really powerful. And so with that, you're reinforcing that social proof when you send them a postcard. So now they've seen your truck, maybe they've seen door hangers, maybe they've seen a yard sign. And now you're sending them a postcard saying, hey, you work for the neighbors. It has an offer on it. And the postcard might have a review from your Google account, right? So like you just keep reinforcing this and personalizing it to them that like, I work in your neighborhood, right? Like I am the expert in your neighborhood and there's no reason for you to go somewhere else. With these personalized messages. We can also do like handwritten cards where you can write them. It's really cool. A robot holds this ballpoint pen and they like write a card and it mimics human handwriting. It comes with a real stamp. And like these things really personalize the experience for them. And when you do that, not only do you increase your close rate, but you have a higher average ticket, a higher lifetime value. So again, going back to those proactive systems versus reactive, when you're just taking a lead off of Yelp and they don't know you from Adam, the chances are they're going to go with like what I call like the least costly, most, or the most, I forget what I call it now, but it's basically the lowest price that's technically acceptable for them. So they're looking at someone, can this person do the service? And, you know, is it for an acceptable price or is it for the lowest price I can accept, right? And you want to change that paradigm to like, no, this company is amazing and I really don't care about price. So that's kind of the flip that you're looking for. And you're just going to do way better. You're going to have all these different things, higher profit, you can pay your employees more, all of that trickles down. You're going to have higher retention. Like, I mean, it really changes your business when you can charge more than most other customers or other companies.
For sure. And I think like positioning yourself as that premium product, you know, like I always tried to position myself as sort of like the Louis Vuitton of home organization versus like the Walmart of home organization. Does Walmart do really well in the economy, in the market? Of course. Does Louis Vuitton also do really well? Of course. But are people walking into Louis Vuitton haggling the price of those bags that are in there? No. Are people walking into, you know, Walmart expecting a bargain, expecting a discount? So it's like, how are you positioning yourself? And you could be, you know, the bargain shop, but if you're personalizing every approach, every interaction, following up with your customers, writing those handwritten thank you notes. I used to do that myself as a business owner, and I'd, you know, go to the little Target dollar bin and buy a bunch of those little note cards, and my hands would like practically bleed because I'd be helping, you know, by the time I hired a staff, about 250 clients a year in serving, you know, multiple different projects and recurring jobs and things like that. So it got really tough to have to keep up with all of those thank you notes, 250 or more per year. And when Daniel actually, before today's session, actually sent me an example of SendJim's product and, you know, that cool handwritten robot note. And if he hadn't told me it was written by a robot, I never would have known. Just totally looked real, looked authentic. Again, like I always like to say, automate and delegate. You know, as service business owners, we're running around with our chickens or with our heads cut off like chickens half the time. You know, we're out in the field, we're answering the phone, we're wearing all the hats as the CEO in our business. And the last thing we have time for is to really sit down and write a heartfelt thank you note to every single client that we help. And so that was just like, wow, this is really cool that I could actually outsource this to a robot.
Yeah. Yeah. And when those things can be triggered off Workiz and you never really have to even log into our platform, it's just like kind of like peanut butter and jelly. It's just so easy to have like this best practice implemented that's normally so challenging. And like we've had people too, like our most common item actually that we send from a that's not a postcard is these brownies. They're in the lower right hand corner. You'll see they're like 2 gourmet brownies in a box with like a thank you card or whatever the card you want to have it say. But basically for like $11, someone gets brownies, right? And like as a plumber, if you're just, they just spent $1,000 with you and you send them 2 brownies for $11, you're flipping that mindset of like, hey, yeah, they did a good job. And like next time I need a plumber, I'm going to go to Google and like try to remember who they are, to like, oh my gosh, ABC Plumbing was amazing. What plumber sends brownies after they like work for you? That's incredible. And they're posting it, they're talking to their neighbors about it. And guess what? You're going to be certain that if they need a plumber again, they're going to call you. And so you start, it's kind of this long-term thinking of building a relationship and like a really strong impression, because the reality of it is like, we all like to think that as a service business expert, like I provide the best carpet cleaning of anybody in the city, or I can do their plumbing better than anyone in the city. You might be able to, but like they don't know that. They just know that when they left, or when you left, that their plumbing works. And frankly, they probably don't really care as long as their plumbing works when the plumber leaves. Like that's what they're after. And so you've got to like change the mindset of like, well, I'm the best plumber ever, to, oh my gosh, this plumber like gave me the best customer experience ever.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. And especially when you get into like HVAC and you get into those $3,000 jobs, those $5,000 jobs. I mean, these people aren't paying you, $200 and then they never hear from you again. Like these are high ticket pricing. A lot of times, they have to go and dig into their pockets, maybe drum up some lending or some financing to be able to afford these things. Like these are, life-changing amounts of money for some people in America and in Canada. And, making sure that you're really dialing into your customer experience. I really like what you said, Daniel, there. Are you getting that word of mouth referrals? Are they going on to their next door app and telling all their friends, you have to hire these people, and taking photos and being excited about it? So pretty cool, what we can do now in this digital age of just all the automation, and with one click, it's just, send it to SendJim and they're ready to blast off.
Sure. Yeah. And the third thing is multi-touch here. So the biggest failure that I see with small businesses, and this doesn't have to be with my marketing platform, but really any marketing platform, is they do like a one and done. So they run a magazine ad, or they send one postcard, or they do Yelp for a month, or whatever the platform is. And I'm not advocating or saying any of these are good or bad, but you do it for 1 month and you really don't understand if it works or not before you make a decision. And I like to say that, this analogy kind of, or this story, that imagine you're, let's just say, a window cleaner or a locksmith, right? Like how often, ask yourself this in your business, how often is the average customer going to need your service? So in lawn care, it might be every week. In pest control, it might be once a month, but they're going to sign an annual contract. But in window cleaning or home organization, it might be like a once a year thing, right? That they need your service. So what are the chances that the one time you send them the postcard on the one day out of 365, is that the day that they're going to need window cleaning or home organization, or right? Like, what are the chances that the one magazine that you publish that comes out once a month, like you put it in 1 month, so you have a 1 in 12 chance, if they're a once a year buyer, that you send it at the right time? And like, that's like kind of like playing roulette, right? You're just choosing number 35 out of the 36 numbers and spinning the wheel. Like that's not good odds. So if you're going to do a marketing method, be consistent with it, especially direct mail or print advertising, or what we call the proactive ads. Like you're not going to put out 10 flyers or 10 door hangers and say, oh, well, I didn't get anything, so they don't work. No, you got to be way more consistent about it. And these stats kind of show you that, right? 80% of sales are after the fifth touch in marketing. And a touch means every time they've seen your brand. So if they see a yard sign, or they see your truck drive by, or they see a postcard, like every time they see your brand, that's a touch. And so a lot of people get into the 1 and 2 touches and then they quit. And really, like, their return starts coming after the third, fourth, fifth touch. And they just didn't stick with it long enough to see that success. And so I encourage people, if you're going to try something, either don't try it or try it with multi-touch. The other big thing is that people look at marketing as like, oh, and this is more specific to recurring business. My garage floor coating business, that's kind of a one-time thing because we give a lifetime warranty. But if you're in like window cleaning, something where a lot of customers are going to use you more than once, the initial transaction is generally worth 8 to 10 times more than the first one. So you can't look at a marketing method and say, hey, that lead cost me $40 and the job was $200. And after I paid labor, like I only made $10, it wasn't worth it. No, because if you have a good customer experience and you have drip marketing from your CRM connection with Workiz and SendJim, for example, or an email, follow-up sequence where you're going to get them every year for the next 10 years, then that is worth it. But you have to look at the long-term for both of these things. So long-term for multiple touch, and then the total lifetime value of your customer, not just that initial transaction.
Yep. Yep. And this is like, sales 101. I'm sure we've all heard, it's all about the follow-up, right? If you're just letting kind of a client say, oh, well, I'm price shopping around, I'll call you back, or, I'll circle back around when we're ready, or, things like that, right? It's all about the follow-up. If you're not following up, you're losing those sales.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes they haven't made a decision, and like the fact that another company calls them and makes it easy, like that's enough to do it.
Yeah, it like kind of lights a fire under them, like, oh, you're right, I've been holding that off, or I've been procrastinating on getting it done. Yeah, exactly. Cool. So on that same note, as you're getting these leads, as you're really understanding more of your target demographics, the areas that you want to work more in, the types of clients you'd like to serve, their, average income and all of that good stuff. Once you're getting them to call you, are you actually picking up the phone? Are you actually providing a great customer service experience? If you're failing to meet expectations, they've gone all the way through this funnel, through this marketing funnel, they got the postcard, they kept it on their kitchen table, they posted it to their fridge with a magnet, and they finally called you, and then you're late, or you're rude, or you're not giving them an update that maybe you hit traffic, or you're not organized on the back end because you're trying to run your business with pen and paper. It is so important to be in consistent communication with your customers. Texting them through the Workiz app, hey, I'm on my way, with just one click, with an automated, text message that goes right to that customer's phone number. And then really showing the value of your service. Like Daniel mentioned, if you have that wrapped truck, that visible branding, those professional uniforms, all of that plays into how you show up at the client's home and how much they trust you and respect you and want to hire you again and again and tell all their friends about you.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, and it also, just to put on one thing on the end, it affects how much they're willing to pay too. Like a lot of people don't see like an ROI for having uniforms or whatever that expense is, but like that complete package, like it takes all of that to charge the highest price. And so it's all important.
Yep. And if you're not answering those phone calls, that's where you're losing a ton of opportunity. So with Workiz, for those of you that are already users of our platform, we're happy to have you. And we hope that you're really enjoying our call masking and call forwarding, call flows. At our core, really, Workiz is a communication platform, and our whole goal is to make it easier for service pros to get their work done. We want to make sure that you're getting those calls, you're booking those jobs. You could miss one call and it could turn into thousands of dollars lost. If you're not answering the phone, if you're not taking care of those customers that need you through online booking, through the chat bot, through voicemail to job with one click, all of these cool things that we offer, it's like, get with the times. You're really missing the money that, is available to you. You're leaving money on the table here.
Yeah. And I'll say something too, there is like, I don't know if you've noticed as a business owner how hard it is to get someone to pick up their cell phone nowadays. Like it's almost impossible. I rarely pick up my phone unless I know who it is, right? And I'll let them leave a message. But the point is that if they're calling you, that might be the only opportunity to talk to them. Like if you miss that and call them right back, like there's probably a good chance they won't pick up. And so when it's right for them, like you have to be able to pick up the phone.
That's true. That's so true. Especially nowadays. I don't know what has happened in the past year, but I'm sure you're the same, Daniel, with all these spam calls about home warranties and insurance claims and all kinds of crazy stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely on that same boat. If I don't know the number, I'm not calling you back. So you really do have like that one shot So yeah, set that foundation, lay the groundwork of the home that you're building. You're building a home, as a metaphor, it's building your business. If you aren't laying that foundation of having a system in place, having a follow-up process in place, you're really just, setting yourself up to fail and setting yourself up to have that whole house fall down. And then the last slide here before we get into our special offer, really building that know, like, trust factor with your clients, with your customers, keeping your reputation top of mind. Like Daniel mentioned, the goal is to get those, gleaming testimonials and reviews on sites like Google and Yelp and Home Advisor and all of these things. Reviews and reputation definitely matter. So make sure that you're keeping your personal brand at the forefront. You're branding yourself out, you're staying top of mind, you're following up, sending personalized thank you notes, sending brownies, sending postcards, doing whatever you have to do to make sure that you rise to the top and really do become a nightmare to compete with in your market. Cool. So we'll get into, Daniel has an awesome deal for new Workiz users. You're going to be able to get 30% off Workiz for your first 3 months. And that's going to be at workiz.com/SendJim. So we made a super easy to follow landing page. You're just going to go there, click that to grab your free trial, and then you're going to get 30% off for the first 3 months. So thank you, Daniel, for offering that to our viewers today.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. I hope this helps somebody out there. And yeah, thanks again. It was great.
Yep. Keep on making those sales, guys. We're all rooting for you in the home service community. So thanks again, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.